The biggest thing that has held me back on this entire journey has been the cycle of despair. And if you've been following this YouTube channel, you've probably heard me talk about the cycle of despair. And if you haven't, if this is your first time here, in simple terms, the cycle of despair is this repetitive cycle where you're unsatisfied with where you are. And that leads to a lot of pent-up motivation and anger because you realize that the path you're walking isn't congruent with the potential that you have and the goals that you have set out for your life. And what you're doing is not living in accordance to the things you need to be doing to help you make progress and to push you forward. And that dissatisfactory feeling leads you to go on a spree of trying to change your life, trying to personal develop, trying to wake up earlier, stop watching porn, try and make some money online or make more money than you're already making in sales, in an online business, in your 9-to-5 job that you already work. And then maybe you make a little bit of progress, or maybe you don't, right? And eventually, whether you made progress and you got prideful and then you got complacent, or you just gave up before you made it out to the other side, to the next level of where you're going in life, there was something that killed off that motivation, that killed off that discipline that you had the one night where you're in so much pain that it made you decide to try and change your life. Now, here's an example. It's like when you decide you're going to start waking up early, whether it be 6 a.m., whether it be like me, 4:25. See, it's 6:30 right now. I just finished my morning cardio. But when you're thinking about that, when you're thinking about going to the gym the next morning, when you're thinking about waking up early the next morning, going on a run, hitting your cold shower, you're motivated. In the moment, it feels great, and you're going to do it. You're going to kill it. But when that moment comes and the alarm goes off, and the comfort of the bed entraps you, and it pulls you inside, and it almost feels impossible. If your alarm goes off at 5 a.m., you literally feel like your head is ringing and that you cannot get out of the bed. So you give in. What happened between when you had that motivation to change and when you instantly dropped your consistency, or you woke up for a couple days in a row and then one day it was too hard and you completely broke your cycle? So what is that? This is the force multiplier that either exponentially progresses men today or it breaks them, and there's nothing that they can do about it. And I've struggled with this a ton. Not only the cycle of despair, but what keeps you in the cycle of despair. And that is self-sabotage. The reason why you're consistent for a couple days, a couple weeks, maybe even a couple months, and then you fall back into your old ways, or every single time that you make a plan and you try to start, you don't execute on it. It is simply self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is when you are doing good. You have a good thought. You're making good progress. You're going to the gym. You're tracking your food. You've gone 5 nights without watching porn like a bitch. And then you destroy all your progress. And you fall back into your vices and you fall back into your old habits. What causes that is self-sabotage. I'm going to give you guys an example so that you can understand more in depth of actually what self-sabotage is. And this is going to be a quick video. By the end of this video, I want you to understand why you continue to pull yourself back down every single time you're making progress. No matter if you're just starting out or if you're already making $10,000 a month and you're pretty ripped and you want to take it to the next level. This video is going to teach you how to keep yourself from pulling you down right before you hit the next level. I was on one of my elite calls, And if any of you guys have been trying to book a call with me at the link in my description and it says no times available, it is because I'm so booked up. You're going to have to continue checking the link, because as soon as spots open, they fill back up just like that. So make sure you're watching my videos and taking action on them. As I always say, if you're not fucking taking action on my videos, stop watching them. I want you to move forward above everything. But if you're missing the times and you're trying to book a one-on-one call with me to qualify for my elite program, just continue to come back and check as many times as you can, because slots will open up. You just have to be diligent about it. So I was on an elite call with one of my newest clients that I just brought on. And the biggest thing he was telling me about were his goals to make money. And I had to explain to him that he has to become the man who actually can make money first, because I could give him $1 million, business, and he wouldn't be able to run it if he wasn't the man who was capable of doing so, right? So thinking about making the money before you've even become the person that can doesn't fucking matter. And he told me that he had started out doing some, SMMA, some social media marketing. And he said it felt scammy because when he was offering services to businesses, and if you guys happen to not know what SMMA is, go research it. It's basically you in its most simplest terms. I don't have an agency, so don't shit on me. You basically run ads for companies, and in turn, you make them more revenue, and then they pay you a percentage, or they pay you a retainer. However, he said he felt scammy because he would offer this service to businesses knowing that they could get it for cheaper on Fiverr. And I was like, okay. And the reason we went into depth about this is I'm not a business coach. I'm not going to sit here and teach you how to run a business. Like I said, I will teach you how to become the man that can, and that is what matters first. But he was like, it just, I had to stop doing it because it felt scammy. And I wanted to know more about his mindset. So I was like, tell me about that. Like, why do you think that? And he was just like, I just didn't like knowing that they could get the service for cheaper on Fiverr. And so I said, well, brother, you're self-sabotaging because you didn't feel like the value that you were providing was worth what you were charging. And that is why it felt scammy. If you knew the service you were providing was going to make them an extra $20,000 in revenue, and you're charging a $3,000 retainer, don't you think that they would fucking be overjoyed to pay $3,000 and make $17,000 on top of that investment? 100%. The reason he felt like a scam when doing that is because he was self-sabotaging. He was aiming for something that was greater than not greater than his ability, but greater than his current skill level. And he wasn't killing off his old self and working to get to the level of men who can charge $3,000 for a service because he's good enough at it to make the company more money. And so he was like, man, well, the Fiverr person's probably better than me because he wasn't putting in enough work for him to be so convicted in his heart that he could make the company money and have plenty of results to show it, that he'd be able to do that. So that is literally the key basis of self-sabotage. You guys are starting this personal development journey, or you're continuing this personal development journey, but you have yet to kill off your old self. And your old self that eats shitty food always comes back to try and test you. And you don't want to cut off access between your old self and your new self. The reason why those days when you're tested, you give in, is because you have yet to disassociate this new version of you from the old version of you by putting in the work. The work will instill the work. The work will instill the worth inside of you. And if you don't feel like my brother that's my new client said he didn't feel like his value he was providing was worth it, you will always self-sabotage. You don't feel like you are worth the life that you envision because you haven't put in the work to get there. That is why people win the lottery and they go broke instantly, or they kill themselves, because they didn't earn it. And it feels hollow on the inside. Things as simple as quitting your porn addiction. Holy shit. I can't believe you guys are literally, if you're still addicted to porn and then you're trying to do other things, you're working backwards. It will continue to pull you down. That should be the very first thing that you work on. That should be the very first thing that you conquer. You should not look at it as an addiction. With all things I say, you can break addictions right now if you simply never ever do them again. Never do them again. And I know it's fucking hard. I've been through it. I've beaten a ton of addictions. Tried and failed, tried and failed, tried and failed, tried and failed, until I finally transcended. But it was because I didn't understand that I was still identifying with the little boy inside of me that was smoking weed. The little boy inside of me that was getting home from the gym and watching porn. The little boy inside of me that couldn't wake up early because it was too fucking difficult. The little boy inside of me that was chasing pleasure over purpose, instead of building my life on purpose over pleasure. I hadn't stopped identifying with the little boy that thought all of these problems and reasons I wasn't successful, that I wasn't good at what I was doing, that I wasn't that I wasn't making progress towards my goals. I hadn't stopped identifying with that little kid. And you know why I couldn't stop identifying with that little kid, even though I wanted to? Because I wasn't putting in the work that would change my identity. I wasn't making myself wake up anyways. I was too worried about all of my circumstances instead of doing it anyways, and understanding that the depth of your struggle will determine the height of your success. I was worried that the depth of my struggle was the reason why I couldn't be successful. Brother, changes need to be made. I don't care how much progress you have made. If you are not continuously, and I'm not just talking about 1% better every day. I'm talking about as much effort as you can give every single day. Doing all that can be done every single day. Not just checking off the boxes of what needs to be done for you to move forward. Checking off every single box plus every single ounce of effort that you can give. If you want to be elite, you have to put in elite effort. I got on another call with a kid that I did not bring on because he wasn't qualified, but he sat there and he kept telling me he wants to be in an elite level of what he's doing, of the sport that he's playing in. And he knows that it's his habits and his training and his nutrition, but he didn't track shit. He's waking up early, which is good. He didn't track his food. He didn't track his workouts. And he was like, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty proud of myself. You know, I'm making a little bit of progress. Great. So is all the 800 bajillion people that are trying to become elite like you. What separates you? What separates you? Stop self-sabotaging. Put in the amount of work that makes your subconscious mind understand we are a new man. The reason I wake up at 4:25 every single day is not so I can make videos about it. It's because when I first started this journey and I sat down and I identified the man that I wanted to be, I thought years and years in the future. And on top of a lot of other goals I wanted to achieve and all these things, I just had this overwhelming feeling of like being 50 years old, still being in shape, being wealthy, being known as like kind. The way that I move, people can just sense my aura, right? But I'm still waking up at 4 a.m. dozens of years later. I wasn't waking up at 4 a.m. at the time, and I was like, fuck. 4:25, 4:30, I didn't know. I just wanted to wake up at some time within 4. And I was like, I don't feel like that man yet, because I wasn't embodying any of the traits that man had. Once I'd smashed my 425 wake up for like 6 months without missing, and I started making some YouTube videos and stuff, I started to become that man. I started to take my training to the next level, my nutrition to the next level. I worked harder than I had ever worked on my business, and I continued to keep resetting standards. I continued to keep pouring out myself to others to help elevate them as well. I continued to hold myself to a higher and higher standard every single day. And the concrete that had wrapped around my old identity that was keeping my childish, undisciplined, unmotivated, degenerate self trapped inside of me, that new man started to chisel away because the habits that I had instilled in my life were real. I started genuinely acting upon them every single day with consistency and relentless intention. And it started to mold a new identity where I was physically able to break away out of my old habits because I genuinely created a new man inside of me. The number one thing that will hold you back is self-sabotage. You will continue to stay in the cycle of despair, no matter how many steps you take forward. Any number times 0 equals 0. If you take steps backwards, you are adding 0 into the equation. Hold yourself to a higher standard every single day. The work will instill the worth that is inside of you. But until that day, you will continue to not feel worth the goals, the dreams, the aspirations, the desires, the lifestyle that you have in your mind. Until you build that man inside of you that is so unbreakable that you can do anything that you put your mind to, you're going to stay stagnant. And we all know there is no such thing as staying the same. If you are not moving forward at an exponential rate, if you are not growing, you are dying. Get comfortable being uncomfortable and create a new man inside of you that will not self-sabotage, that does not compromise, who falls to the level of his standards, yet his standards are still light years above everyone else's, so he still continues to make progress on his worst days. Losers put in the amount of effort that they think is required to reach their goals. Oh yeah, this should be enough. I think so. If I wake up at 6 and I go to the gym and then I come back and I sleep and, I'm still doing a little bit, it'll be okay. The fuck's wrong with you? Winners put in the amount of effort that is required to make failure impossible. Do all that can be done each day. So much effort that it would be impossible for you to not progress at exponential rates. And self-sabotage will not arise in your life. That is the only way to break out of the cycle of despair. That is how young men, instead of destroying themselves, are set ablaze, on fire, on the path to a life of purpose over pleasure. I love you boys. Stay aggressive.